everybody, I hope everybody's doing great. I'm making this tutorial about cake. This time I am baking a cake for you guys. It's cake time. Yes. Anyways, I am making this tutorial because I was testing some cake recipes that I've been testing. I test all the time cakes. I like key lime cake a lot, and I was trying to perfect my recipe, and finally I found one that I really love, and I'm gonna share it with you because a lot of people have been asking about it. Yes, I do test. Testing is kind of cool. Taste and test my cakes. Sure. One thing about testing is that you learn the science, a little bit of the science that goes behind. And the other thing is that you learn what works best for you. Environment sometimes does change the outcome in a cake, sometimes ovens too. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. But testing is always key. Once you try one recipe, make sure that the flour was the correct one. Sometimes I use cake flour, sometimes I use all-purpose flour, and sometimes in some recipes all-purpose won't work. Like in this cake that I did, I tried it with all-purpose and I didn't like it. But in my banana cake, I used all-purpose and it worked fantastic. So just play with stuff. I usually post whatever I am using for me and it works for me. I will say for this recipe, stay with cake flour. I already did the testing with the all-purpose and it didn't work for me. It tasted too much like flour. So just play with the recipe. Make sure to follow the steps. Follow the steps. Remember. One thing that you want to keep in mind when you're baking a cake is that you don't want to keep opening your oven door. It just releases temperature and heat from it every time you open it, and your cake might fail. If you see that your cake goes down in the center, it might be that. Do not open the oven. In this recipe, I use two pans. I use two pans 8 by 3 inches tall, and it took almost 60 minutes in 325. I never give time for recipes because each oven will, work differently. But it took almost 60 minutes. I cook at 325 my cakes because I like slower cooking times, and that keeps my cakes a little bit more moist. But anyways, I just do not open my oven. My oven is very finicky, so if I open the door early, it just comes down in the center. So I leave my cake alone. I look through the little window in my oven, like a little window. Yes. And then I just make sure that my cake is releasing from the tin, and that will tell me that my cake is done and I can open and poke. Yes, I poke my cake. Poke. And after that, you take out, you let it cool, and hey, we got a cake. How you doing? Yeah, I watch Friends. Love it. Just make sure that your oven is working properly. This is an oven thermometer, and you basically can check that your oven is working correctly. Okay, so that's a lot of talking. So let's get started with the baking. The first thing you want to do is turn your oven at 325. I like to cook at lower temperature. This recipe uses key limes, but you can change it. You can use lemons or you can use limes, or you can combine them using the real fruit or using concentrate juice. This one is my favorite key lime juice, but you can use the one that you like best. You do need at least one lemon, lime, or key lime, where you can use the zest for this recipe. There is a bit of a difference between these three fruits. Key limes are smaller and they are on the sweeter side. Then you have the lime, which is a little bit bigger and is less sweet. And then you have your lemon, which is sour. The first thing you want to do is choose a pan. I am using two 8 by 3 inches tall pans, and I am covering them with some baker's joy. This spray is helpful so the cake doesn't stick to your surface. If you don't have this type of baking spray, you can use some shortening, and then you can lightly flour your surface. I rather use this spray because it's a little bit easier and faster to work with. Just make sure to clean your nozzle so it doesn't clog on you eventually. You will need 2 sticks of butter for this recipe, which is a cup of butter. You can use unsalted butter. I'm using Parquet because I just love the flavor, but you can use whichever butter you like to use always, so that's a matter of preference. Just make sure that it's at room temperature, put it in your mixer, and just make sure that you start mixing it really well. You're gonna need 2.5 cups of sugar for this recipe, but right now you're only gonna use 2 cups of sugar to mix with the butter. What I do is I put the sugar with the butter and I let my mixer run, and while that happens I start sifting my flour, and that way my butter gets really fluffy. Sometimes I mix my butter up to 20 minutes. Measure half a cup of high ratio shortening or vegetable shortening of good quality and add it to the butter sugar mixture. While I let my butter mix in at a medium to high setting, I'm gonna sift my flour. You will need 3 cups of flour and you're gonna sift them. I use just a simple sifter and a spoon, and that's all I do for this. It's just fast and easy. For those who are wondering, I use this cake flour. Make sure at some point to stop the mixer and push all the butter down so everything gets mixed well. Measure 1 level tablespoon of baking powder and add it to the flour. Measure 3/4 teaspoon of salt and add it to the flour. Measure 1 cup of buttermilk. I am using the zest of 1 lime, but if you're using key limes, you should use more than 1 since they're smaller in size. You will need 6 tablespoons of lemon juice. You can either squeeze the fruit or you can get some bottled juice in the store. Just make sure to buy one of good quality. I mix my butter and sugar mixture around 20 minutes. You don't have to do it, but just make sure that it looks like this. You're gonna need 5 eggs. I usually buy jumbo eggs, and you're gonna separate the egg yolk from the white. We're gonna save the white for later, and now we're gonna be using just the yolks, and we're gonna add one at a time to our butter and sugar mixture. Let it mix well in between each addition. Now it's time to add our dry ingredients and the buttermilk. Make sure to start with the dry ingredients and end with the dry ingredients too. You want to add small portions at a time, and you want to make sure that your mixer is not at a high setting. Mix well in between each addition. After you add all your dry ingredients and buttermilk, you should add your lemon zest and your lemon juice. Mix well and then take out of the mixer and finish by hand, making sure that all your ingredients are well mixed. Put this mixture to the side and get a clean, grease-free bowl and place your egg whites there. Using the whisk attachment, mix your egg whites until you get stiff peaks, but not dry. Add the half a cup of sugar you saved earlier and mix until you get nice stiff peaks. They should be kind of shiny. Look at that. Take the egg whites and fold them into the other mixture. Do this in 3 steps and fold them to not overmix, just fold them. I'm dividing my batter half and half in between 2 pans 8 by 3 inches tall. Place the cakes in the oven and don't open the oven until they're almost done. The cake usually detaches from the pan once it's done, so just look out for that, and then you can test it. You can place a skewer in the center, and if it comes clean, that means your cake is done. Take the cakes out of the oven and let them cool for around 10 minutes. Then you want to flip them onto some plastic wrap and seal them well and place them in the refrigerator. Let them cool down completely in the refrigerator. This will help with the moisture in the cake. I prefer leaving it overnight in the fridge so the flavors settle down. That piece of beautiful cake. No buttercream, no nothing, just perfect moist cake. Perfect. Perfect. Well, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I will say that if you go and make the cake and it doesn't work for you, try it again. Sometimes we make mistakes along the way and we don't follow the recipes as we should, and that will make a difference. In baking, you have to follow recipes and you have to make sure that everything is level, and the ingredients do make a huge difference. So if something didn't work, make sure it's not either in the ingredients or in the steps that you didn't follow. Try it again, follow the steps, and best of luck. Hope you love it. Bye-bye. Ta-ta. We'll shoot this for like the millionth time until I get it right. Yes. What the heck is with the hair? My stomach is making noises. Follow the steps. Yes. Follow the yellow brick road. I got nothing else to say. Ta-ta.